After 36 years of waiting, movie fans, as well as military aviation, have celebrated the premiere of Top Gun Maverick, a sequel to the legendary 1986 film starring Tom Cruise. The movie about fighter jets has already broken several box office records, and was positioned as one of the 50 highest-grossing films in history, surpassing the billion-dollar barrier. The original Top Gun had already made a huge mark on the world of cinema, but it also represented a wonderful achievement for the United States Air Force, which increased its recruiting capacity by 500%. With the return of Pete "Maverick" Mitchell to the cockpit of American fighters, the new installment of Top Gun has delighted the public with the appearance of superb aircraft, such as the F-18 Super Hornet, the Sukhoi Su-57, which acts as the main villain of the film, and the stellar return of the legendary F-14 Tomcat, unrivaled protagonist of the first Top Gun of 1986. However, a good part of the public expected that the story of the emblematic aviator played by Tom Cruise would revolve around the greatest current feat of the North Americans, the F-35 Lightning II, which, although it can be seen in the first minutes of the film, remains absent throughout the film. So, why did the producers of Top Gun Maverick decide to use the Super Hornet as their primary aircraft and not the F-35? First, we'll put the story of Top Gun Maverick into context, without going into details that would ruin the film for those who haven't seen it yet. 36 years after the events of the first installment, Pete "Maverick" Mitchell works as a test pilot for the United States Navy. Despite his enormous triumphs as an aviator, the hero did his best to stay away from desks and close to the powerful supersonic engines of the fighters he loves so much. After the failed test of a fictitious aircraft capable of reaching the speed of Mach 10, which ends with the destruction of the prototype, Maverick is called to duty to train a small squad of pilots who must face a risky mission. Mounted on their F-18 Super Hornet, the pilots and Maverick must bomb an unnamed rogue nation's uranium enrichment facility, which poses a nuclear hazard. But things won't be easy, since these facilities are protected by state-of-the-art anti-aircraft systems, as well as Russian Sukhoi Su-57 fighters that will defend it to the last consequences. Thus, an adventure full of adrenaline and action begins, as well as an evident respect and work to represent the operation of military aircraft in the most realistic way possible. But many fans were hoping to see Maverick perform his mighty feats in one of today's most powerful fighters, the F-35C. However, the producers of the film preferred to use the F-18 Hornet as the main aircraft. Although this did not bother aviation fans, as can be seen in the enormous box office success of the film, they did question the creators of the film, who clarified why they decided to leave out the current star of the American aviation industry. This happened for 3 reasons. The first was related to production. The F-35C Joint Strike Fighter, the Lightning II model destined for the United States Navy, appears on screen as the most magnificent aircraft of today, but only in the first minutes of the film. Even Maverick questions the authorities as to why they don't use this aircraft for such a sensitive mission, since it would be ideal, and the reason is that it's not available, which is a bit vague. The truth is that, to shoot the film, the producers needed 2-seater planes, so that an actor could be placed in one of the seats, and the camera in the other. The F-35C is a single-seat aircraft, and this represented a technical difficulty for it to be considered as a protagonist. The second reason had to do with the realistic demand that the creative team wanted to project in the film. The F-35C is an aircraft that stands out for its stealth capabilities, its state-of-the-art radar technology, electronic warfare and navigation systems, and for being a long-distance silent killer. If we were to compare the Lightning II to a ground role, you could say it's a sniper, but not a shock trooper by any means. The F-35 can take down targets well outside its detection range, making it a prized asset to U.S. Navy carrier fleets, but a somewhat boring lead for a movie about fast-paced dogfights between last-generation fighter jets. The Chosen Enemy helped a lot with this, since the Sukhoi Su-57 is a 5th-generation aircraft, also with stealth capabilities and focused on electronic warfare to confuse its rivals, but its design is much more oriented to have maneuverability superior to that of the F-35C. The last reason is related to what we have just mentioned, and has to do with the dramatic construction and the narrative structure of the film. The producers did not want a fight between aircraft with similar capabilities since, in this way, an incredible pilot like Maverick would be able to face any danger without consequences. Instead, they sought to put the virtuoso aviator at a disadvantage relative to his rivals, so that Maverick's experience had to be measured against the power of the Su-57s. To make a significant but not exaggerated difference in power, the producers opted for the FAE F-18 Super Hornet, an excellent heavy multi-role aircraft that served the U.S. Navy as a replacement for the Hornet and F-14 Tomcat due to budgetary reasons. This late fourth-generation fighter is a powerful aircraft for dogfights and interceptions at close ranges, as it is equipped with an M61 Vulcan 6-barrel 20mm caliber machine gun in the nose, with 578 ammunition rounds. Its 11 hardpoints, which can load the legendary Sidewinder missiles in different configurations, also make it an excellent guardian of the skies against other aerial threats. But it is evident that between the fourth and fifth generation there is one of the biggest technological leaps in the history of aviation, and the Super Hornet would hardly be a rival for the Su-57 in a real scenario. Of course, Hollywood brings us some majestic, fast-paced showdowns between these aircraft, including a vast demonstration of the Russian fighters' maneuvering capabilities, even using the virtuoso move known as Pugachev's Cobra to attack the Americans. Towards the end of the film, the magic of the cinema bears its greatest fruit and brings the greatest current Russian aerial predator face-to-face against the legendary F-14 Tomcat from the original 1986 film, piloted by the most famous aviator in cinema, Maverick. Not only is this a huge dollop of nostalgia for fans of the film, it elevates the film's climax into a fight like no other. The story of David against Goliath, but at full speed and with air-to-air missiles instead of stones. Thank you very much for joining us until the end. Stay tuned for our next video.